Hello, beautiful people. Most welcome to the page here on GBC News, Ghana's authoritative platform when it comes to updating the arena of sports. And today we get a person, somebody in the house who has seen it all. He matters when it comes to sports development in this country. And today being the Founders Day, we salute all our forefathers and everyone that has made Ghana what it is today. I know you're also playing your part. And so we say, Osaji for his team, wherever you are, we salute you. Today on Founders Day 2023. And today we're still looking at a founder, somebody who has decided that he will help with what is called accessibility for sports. One key thing for you to really discover who you really are is when there is an accessibility for you to really test whether you are good or not. If the facilities are not there, if the equipment are not there, you can have a dream that one day I'll play football. Where do you play it? You want to swim, there is no pool. How do you do it? Yes. So there are days that people have the ideas, but the quest to get access to this equipment and stuff is what is going on. Today, we're looking at Tennis in Schools project, a project being championed by PM Sports Foundation. And what is this whole concept about? I've been following them, and what I discovered was that there's something called accessibility. They want to give everybody access, irrespective of who you are and your current status. They just want to do it, and they want to start from the schools. They catch them, the grassroots stuff. And so today, in the arena of tennis, I have no other person than a former national player. He's in the person of Peter Mensah. He's in the house. The last time he came here some years back, but today he's back here again. Peter, most welcome.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for agreeing to come on Founders Day.
It's important. I have to be here because you demanded I'm here.
Founders Day, founder of PM Sports Foundation.
Yeah.
Once again, welcome.
Thank you very much, dear. Yes.
PM Sports Foundation. What are you about? For a first time, I know I have at least I have picked infos here and there, but you are here, so tell us. What led to the foundation being bettered in 2017?
Yeah. I believe I've had an experience of growing through sports. I've had opportunity to experience almost everything. And it's always been on my mind to make sure I give back something. But I wanted to know what exactly the giving back is, and the importance of it, and what it's going to have, the impact that it's going to have. So I like I said, I've gone through a lot, but at the later part of my sporting career or life, I've been working as a full-time tennis coach, qualified tennis coach in the UK, close to 20 years now, and I've had a lot of experiences through that. I've worked in major projects, I've worked to establish programs, I've worked in majority of the big tennis clubs in and around London. I've assisted in performance programs and so many things. And throughout all those experiences, it's always been on my mind that, look, whatever I'm doing over there, if I'm not doing it over here, then I'm not fulfilled. So PM Sports has always been on my mind, how we go about it and what we need to do. It's been the challenge. But yes, I've always thought of doing something like this.
So walk us through, for a first timer watching you and saying that, okay, Peter Mensah, I said the name rings a bell. Tell us, during your time, how did you get into tennis?
I was born in Cape Coast, but I was a very stubborn child with my mom over there. So my dad was working and staying in Accra, so my mom shifted me over to my dad after a while. I was about 7 or 8 years old. And then luckily, being in an area closer to a tennis club, which is Adaraka, we were living in Adaraka, and I was lucky because when I got there, my dad had a very old tennis racket hanging in our room, and the boys that I made friends with, they used to be ball boys at the club, so they started coming to my house and saw this racket hanging there, and they knew the importance of the racket. I had no idea what it was. And so they said, look, why don't you join us to the club, and why don't you bring this along? Not knowing that they wanted to use it And so when we got there, they were using it. They get me. I was so excited to be there. I didn't know what tennis was. And then they introduced me to being a ball boy, where you have to basically pick up the balls for the adults, and then you get paid at the end of the day. And it was good money for us at that stage. So that's what got me into tennis. But the club was, I think it's still happening now, where kids get supported and get pushed to improve, and members will give you their rackets to play, and if you're good enough, they start supporting you, buying you shoes, buying you clothes, paying for your transportation to competitions and stuff. And it grew and grew until I became good enough to start competing. And luckily, during that time, tennis was really huge in Ghana. So, to even be very good at your club was very, very competitive. And we had all these inter-club competitions that everyone wanted to play. And so, yeah, that's the system that I grew up through. And then when I became a national junior tennis player, I had opportunities to travel so many times and compete for Ghana in so many places around Africa. Um, and then I got into senior tennis, where I started playing futures, and we started traveling in and out of the country playing futures. And I think I ended up playing futures in the UK, and that's what got me extending and got into a tennis club there that helped us to stay and continue playing competitions for the club. And so, yeah, that's how we grew up. A lot of our friends went to America, went to Germany to play competitions there. Some of them went to college tennis and all of that, including the likes of Gunter Daki, who used to be a very good sparring partner with me, and John Edipoku, and so many top players. But our journey hasn't been easy. Some of us couldn't continue fully because it was very expensive where we were. Others had support from families, and others had other supports, and they continued, and they did very well during their time. Um, at the end of my playing career, I decided, look, which wasn't that long, about 2 years into my senior playing career, I couldn't continue anymore. So I chose to go to school, and luckily through tennis in Ghana, I was able to go to a secondary school, a very good secondary school, St. Thomas Aquinas, and I only got in there because of tennis. I wasn't that sharp. So, the kids there that I met there were really, really, top graded kids, and they pushed me academically. So that helped me to pass my SS then. And then when I got to the UK and I decided, okay, what I'm doing next, I managed to fall back on that and go into college, and then got into University of Westminster studying business studies. But during all those times, I was still playing tennis, actively coaching, because that's how I was finding myself there.
Great. And then you decided to birth 2017. You decided to introduce this foundation.
Yes.
Is it to give back, like you said? So you wanted to just give back to society?
Yeah, initially I was working in a very good club. They were very supportive, and Sport of Riverside, he was there. Now it's Virgin Active. So I got a lot of equipment. I was always, they were shocked to see an African that good, and I was top of the coaches there, and I was really part of their performance program, and we're really generating top 100 kids in the country. So whatever I demanded, I got. And I thought, okay, why don't you, I know my local club needed it. I know the GTA then, now GTF needed that support. So initially it was just to bring in the equipment and support. But what I quickly noticed was that no one was paying respect to what I was giving. So I decided, okay, if you don't add a service to it, then whatever you're doing is wasted. So I came over, I had a chat with a few of my colleagues here who are still with PM Sports. And we decided, okay, why don't you come in and create a clinic, and then maybe link it up to schools and make it work for us. And when we came in, we did a pilot run for about 6 months, where we went into schools and basically used the equipment there and brought it back. So the schools respected it more than just dumping it in the clubs and with the federation. And I thought, okay, this works. And also, when I came back, tennis has basically vanished in the system. You go to a national sports stadium and you won't even see a kid training. Everything has become football. But when we went to the schools, we saw quite a lot of interest. especially girls who will be sitting by the trees and chatting and watching the boys play football. All of them drifted into tennis. So we thought, yeah, there was something really good during our pilot run. And but to be honest, this is something I was doing in the UK. I was part of establishing a lot of events like that, even for the LTA, the Long Tennis Association there. And so when I saw the interest here, I thought, oh,
Then you do
it's
it.
straightforward. Yeah.
Then you started. Viewers, very soon you see some of the kids on the tennis courts doing what they do best. One thing I found out was that here in our part, the equipment are expensive. So for a young boy or girl aged 8 years, if the parents really don't love their sport, they might not readily dole out their resources and say, let me buy you a tennis racket, a ball, or a shoe. So they get access to these things through PM Sports.
Yeah.
So how many children every year do you really target, or do you really reach out to see if indeed they will love the sports the more?
After our pilot run, we sat down and drew out all the plans, and we realized that look, um, our focus should be at least 5,000 kids each year.
So
We
every
want
year,
every year
target 5,000
5,000
school
kids,
children.
school children. That means we calculate the number of schools that we can reach out to. And bear in mind, our focus has always been on those that cannot afford to play our sports and to support them and to build them up. That's the experience that I had. So we only chose to work with government schools. For now, yeah.
Okay.
There was, and there's still a lot of opportunities to work in private schools and make a lot of income out of that to support the program. But we've stayed with our focus on supporting only the kids that we think will never get an opportunity to enjoy this sport. And so we only, went into schools that needed us the most and used the equipment in those schools. And that's what we've done up to now.
And so if you look at some of them, first time holding it, now they are holding the rackets every day. There is this thing called confidence. Did you see it in them?
With the kids that and that's what's kept us going. I've worked in so many places. I've even, done some work in Spain and all those places. And every country you go to, they have their abilities and there are things you see. But when I see the kids in Ghana, it's amazing. I mean, I see myself in them, but I also see there's so many things we don't have to teach them. When we go into performance coaching and stuff like that, there's something called agility, balance, control, ABCs. When it comes to the physical part of these kids, we don't need to teach them anything. These kids will just pick up the racket. The first thing they do is, I need to learn to control this ball. Whereas in other places, you really have to teach and teach and teach.
You mean the Ghanaian kid is already blessed?
It's already blessed with physical abilities, yes. So it made it very easy for us. I mean, majority of the kids you see in our videos, they've only been introduced into the game the last term of the school year. So they've probably done between 5 to 8 weeks of tennis playing within their school field, which is basically very, very basic. All they could do is just feel the ball and get a touch of it. But the level of competition we saw at the end of those weeks of competing among themselves was just amazing.
With what's happened on Friday, no, on Thursday at the Accra Sports Stadium tennis court, started some weeks back.
Yes.
You've been to some of the schools.
Yes.
So how did you get these final ones that we see on our screens? Everybody playing. How do you get them?
Our aim was to make sure that every single child in our program gets to do everything that we set out to do. Okay. So we could have just decided, look, let's pick up the kids, those are very good from the schools, and then bring them to the stadium, have a big competition, that's it. But we decided, no, ourselves and our trustees and our supporters said, look, make sure every single child gets to play in whatever program that you set out. So we decided, okay, for us to do that, we need to at least gather all the schools in the areas that we work in. So we picked up those 2 schools, and we had almost about 1,000 kids, close to 1,000 kids, come in using all the facilities at the stadium, using all the mini nets. It was hectic, but we had to do a lot of rotations so that every child got to play and played enough to showcase what they could do. And out of that, we did Osu, we did Adabraka, we did Amanprobi, and the deaf kids were also doing their own stuff. And out of that, we picked up kids who we could say could represent each school. But we didn't just want to focus on those kids. We wanted every single child to partake in it. So surely on the finals day, we can't have every single child because it was close to 4,000 kids we're going through at the moment. So yes, we picked up about 130 kids out of the whole sessions that we had throughout the last week, and then brought them together on Thursday to represent their schools. And each school had about five or six kids representing them, and that's how we got to that stage. But our aim wasn't just for those kids; it was for every kid to enjoy.
Would you say this campaign, this season's trip has been worthwhile?
It's always growing. It's been really, really well. And the fact that we now have a little bit of financial support, which is what we need to expand more to include a lot of people. At the moment, at least, I'm not spending all my physical cash on the program. We've always had support from the local clubs that I work in. Especially at the moment, we have Paddington Sports Club, and they've been very supportive since 2017 when we set it all up. I have members who contribute. I have the club that gives us a lot of equipment and help us raise enough to support the program. The program costs a lot of money. I have over 20 coaches that we pay every month. We have equipment to replace every 2-3 months. We have logistics. We travel all the way to Koforidua, all the way to Ekropon, all the way to Cape Coast. We have coaches in Cape Coast. We have coaches in Aguna Drakwa, Aguna Drestra, what do you call it, in Sabah. You know, it's really massive in Accra. We have a lot of pressure from the north. I'm meeting someone from Tamale coming in to establish the Tamale program next week. I mean, it's really big, and if we don't get the support that we need to, then we won't be able to reach out to these kids who are really, really enjoying the program. And it's not just about the tennis, but we have social impact programs attached to it. We're supporting a lot of kids who either have lost parents or are in need of certain support. We have a kid who's physically challenged, and the school couldn't do much for him. So whatever the others were doing, he will be sidelined. And we took him to hospital. We got him assessed, and he's going through treatment, and it's all coming through us. So there's quite a lot of stuff that we're doing. On top of that, since 2017, we've raised national champions, and even though that's not our focus, that will happen naturally. And we know, and we've just left that to happen. But we've had kids who have represented Ghana in South Africa, disability tennis, wheelchair tennis. 2 kids went to South Africa in 2019, and they've been competing for Ghana ever since. They've been to Turkey and all those places. We've had kids who represented Ghana. A girl, she's now under 14. 2 girls now going to the under 14 national team, traveling all over West Africa competing for Ghana. We've recently, I think this year and the end of last year, we had a kid who came through actually my local school in Adaraka. He's now the national under 12 champion, and he'll be representing Ghana in the next week or so competition for the African Games in Accra here, and we'll be rooting for that boy. And there's another girl who's been picked to compete for the under 12 competition next week as well. So that is happening, but our aim is to support every single child. So those that are not tennis oriented, but are actually enjoying the sport and continue with our club link programs. We look to run even sports management program for them, mentorship programs, and we're looking to partner with a lot of organizations where we can actually give them work placement and work experiences. And if we can link them to when they get to the age where they can really work for other organizations throughout the country, then we will see ourselves successful.
Today happens to be Founders Day, so I just want to know from you. At times also it's running fast. What will make you fulfilled in this journey you've embarked on? What really do you want to see to say that, okay, I have done what really I want to do? What is it?
I look around me and I see my friends, and I see a lot of people really successful in life. I think in Ghana, in Africa, or in the world, we tend to relate success to, the material stuff you have, the houses, the cars, and all of those things. Um, I get my joy through this, and I do it every single day. And if I should see a child move away from all the negative things around him or her and stay focused in whatever they're doing and achieve the little things within them. I've seen a lot of joy in kids' faces, and I want to see that continuous. I don't want to see anything. I'm not looking for the biggest trophy. I'm not looking for the Wimbledon player. I'm not looking for um, the best, showcase program. I just want to see a lot of kids go through programs like what we've been doing the last few weeks, and the girls camp that we've got coming up for about 300 kids throughout the country, and that's what I want to see. So I haven't got anything fixed to pinpoint that. Okay, this is what I really want to get out of this. I want someone else to take over this project and run with it, and we got an amazing manager in the name of Timothy who's doing an amazing job for us. So that's all I want to see.
So it's Founders Day, and we have the founder of PM Sports here, Peter Mensah, a former national player, giving back to society. And so, if you're out there and you really want to support, just look for them, PM Sports Foundation. Everywhere you get their info, get to them, and then find out how can you help. We are checking out from the studio because our time is about 30 seconds. How come you've been able to convince students at the School of the Deaf to play tennis? 30 seconds.
Deaf tennis is really growing, especially in the UK. So when I was rich, someone reached out to me. One of the executives reached out and said, "Look, why are you doing this for all the able kids and not us?" And all of a sudden, it hit me a lot. You're not being fair. So we set up inclusive tennis straight away. We've been part of wheelchair tennis, but deaf tennis has been amazing. And the kids, they won majority of the matches yesterday, and I think it's growing. We've got plans to do 5 schools throughout the year. We've already established 2 schools in Cape Coast and in Koforidua. We've got our link in Koforidua to start. We've done, what do you call it, School of the Deaf in Ekropon. Koforidua is starting, and Accra will start as well. And it's just going to blow. Just watch out for it.
So watch out for it. Thank you very much. That's the Founders Day edition of the page here on GBC News. Remember, Peter Mensah is here, a former national player, and he's back in the country to really help. He'll go back again, don't worry, and come back again. He has been doing it from 2017, helping to put smiles on the faces of young tennis players. So the Catch Them Young fever is still on. If you are praying, pray for him that he continues with his team, that they don't give up. That's been the page. When I leave the studio, Samuela is coming to give us updates on what is happening on the local scene as well as the international front with some news.